Good afternoon, everyone. The Senate Capital Investment Committee will come to order. Today is Thursday, April 16th, 2026, 3 p.m. Thank you all for being here, and I don't think I need to do the admonishment to ask everyone to please behave, because everyone who comes to our committee always is very nice and behaves yourselves. So thank you all for being here. The first bill on the agenda is Senator Hoffman. Welcome, Senator Hoffman.
Madam Chair.
I'm making him laugh.
Madam Chair and members, I beat you here though. Madam Chair and members, I'm honored to present Senate File 4662. It's a bill that appropriates money to Melissa Hortman Memorial on the site of the State Office Building. And Senator Pappas, Senator Champion, Senator Maquaid, and Senator Pa are also co-authors of this wonderful bill. Melissa was first elected to the State House in 2004 and served with distinction, gaining the respect of her colleagues on both sides of the aisle for her approach to legislation. She served as the minority leader and the assistant majority leader before being elected to serve as Speaker of the House. She's been called the most consequential speaker in Minnesota history, an honor that reflects her incredible legislative work, but it also reflects her approach to people. She built relationships with everybody, no matter where they were from or which party they belonged to. At a time when too many people let politics and partisanship get in the way, she always focused on relationships and connections, Madam Chair. While her legislative legacy is unmatched, we should also honor and strive to embrace her approach to relationship building, respect, and her commitment to people. Madam Chair, creating a memorial for Melissa would help all of us, legislators, citizens, lobbyists, remember that above all else, we are Minnesotans. We work together, we make our state better. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Hoffman, for those lovely words. You know, I don't want to muddy the water here about this plan to have this amazing memorial, but I am concerned about the funding source, because my understanding that this would be taking dollars from the second phase of the tree planting on the Capitol Mall. And I know that Melissa was that was very important to her. And I don't think it should be a either or choice, whether we plant trees on the lower mall or whether we do a memorial. I think we should be able to do both. So just to provide more clarity to the situation, would Deputy Commissioner Drazkowski please come forward and talk to us? I'm sorry about your arm. Yeah, really, at least your left arm. Are you right-handed?
I am, Madam Chair. Yeah, for the record, Wayne Drazkowski, Assistant Commissioner for Department of Administration, and had rotator cuff surgery. I'm right-handed, so I did the right side last year. That was much harder, so this one's...
And it couldn't wait till after session, I suppose.
Well, I didn't want to mess up the summer, so...
Yeah, better choice. So could you just tell us how this funding works? And, you know, maybe as long as you are here, you can tell us about what's happening with tree planting in general. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members, so the legislature in 2023 appropriated $5 million to the Department of Administration for implementation of the design framework for the Capitol complex. With that funding, we have, of course, been planting trees, and with what we've already planted and have in process, it'll be netting out to about 340 trees, new trees on the mall area and across the complex. With that funding, we also completed the Tribal Flag Plaza, as well as added benches on the mall area, and they were in great use today with the Cattle Association and people having their lunch on the upper mall.
Delicious steak. I hope everybody got to have some if you're a meat eater.
And then it also, with that funding, we also created the green space that you see over at Ryerson University on the former Ford building site. That's with an additional 19 trees over in that area on that green space. So been putting the design framework funding to very good use following the CAP board's approved plan and the priorities that were outlined in the law. There's about 1.6 million or so balance remaining. With that, we have about a little over $800,000 to $900,000 worth of work that's in process, including work that was a priority for Speaker Hortman, was making some improvements to the admin ramp, doing some painting on that ramp that's been a bit of an eyesore for quite a long time, as well as replacing some screening on that ramp. And that's in addition to the trees that we have in process of planting this spring. That's the primary work that we have in flight. So with the appropriation of about $800,000 for the memorial, that would leave us a roughly $130,000 to $180,000 left to potentially plant additional trees. But would mention that an additional priority that was put into the original appropriation was creating green space on Ryerson University on Lot AA, a portion of Lot AA that is to the west of the State Office Building site. It's unlikely we would have enough money to create that green space on Lot AA with utilizing the funds for the memorial.
I'm looking to see if anyone else has any questions. Otherwise, I'll continue. So my understanding is that phase 2 of tree planting to happen in the spring of '27, there would be another 200 trees that would be available with the $800,000. So with just $130,000 or $180,000 left, is that what you think will be left over the cost of the memorial? That's left over from the memorial? Mr. Wozinski.
Madam Chair.
Drazkowski, sorry.
Yeah, right now we're approximately about $960,000 with the work we have in flight, and of course there's some contingency funds in there. But so we have, in addition to the $800,000 that would go towards the memorial, we have about $130,000 to $160,000 that would be remaining to be repurposed for either planting trees or doing the green space on Lot AA.
So that's great. I mean, I think you're doing the best you can with the limited amount of dollars, but I do feel like we shouldn't have to make a choice here between trees and the memorial to somebody who loved trees. So I'm going to turn over the gavel, thank you, to Senator Housley. And Madam Chair, I have, Madam Chair.
Senator Pappas?
Yes. I have the A1 amendment.
Senator Pappas, go ahead with your A1 amendment. Would you like to explain it?
Yeah, they're passing it out. I'm basically just saying that we're going to take the money from the general fund instead of from the capital design plan.
Members, Senator Hoffman.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Senator Pappas. Our conversation earlier when Representative Lee, and I did not hear the gentleman from the Department of Admin talk about, Representative Lee had said that the money was going to come, that was coming out of a parking lot, and I did not hear him mention that. Could we get clarification on the conversation you and I were having earlier, just so we're very clear as far as, and I'm absolutely okay with Senator Sandy Pappas making this out of the general fund. But I still want to get clarification just so we're clear.
Mr. Wozlowski.
Madam Chair, members, Senator Hoffman, so that is the reference to Lot AA, is a current parking lot that's at the corner of Ryerson University, west of the State Office Building site. So it's on the south side of University. In the original design framework appropriation, it indicated to prioritize the creation of green spaces on both the Lot C site, which was the Ford Building site, and this Lot AA site, a portion of that site as well. And so that's what I'm indicating. If we have the $800,000 from the design framework that's going towards the memorial, we'd have approximately $130,000 to $160,000 remaining left. That wouldn't be enough to create that green space on that surface parking lot on Lot AA, but it would be money that could go towards additional trees.
Senator Pappas.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Then if we were able to do an additional $800,000 in cash and not take the money from the capital design plan, you would be able to activate that green space at the parking lot as well as do the 200 trees in the lower mall. Correct?
Madam Chair, Senator Pappas, that's correct.
Yeah.
Senator Pappas, Mr. Wazlowski, I have a question. If we didn't do it with cash and we did it the way that the original bill said, is it possible to be able to allocate another $800,000 when it's actually needed? Mr. Wazlowski.
Madam Chair, let me answer that this way. There's a potential different funding source for the green space on Lot AA. There's the legislature appropriated funds in 2023 for the Rice Street reconstruction. That project is currently in design and hasn't been bid yet. If there's funding left over, it would be an authorized use under that funding. That went through transportation is currently with the city and the county. That funding could be used for that purpose. And there's been some conversations about using, if there's available funds, to use the Rice Street reconstruction funds to create that green space.
Senator Hoffman.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and that's exactly what Representative Lee had said, that the original pathway was to use those existing funds, of which, and I wish you would have said that from the very beginning, on that Rice Street side of it. But in this case, Representative Lee is absolutely with Senator Pappas. If there's a pathway to find it from the general funds, then I think we should be good to go. And I appreciate her leadership and work on that. So.
Senator Pappas.
There is a timing issue here because I believe the plan is the second phase of the trees is for the spring of 27. So if we were to wait till next year, it would be difficult to meet that planning season. So I think it is really imperative that we keep the money in the trees fund. Thank you, members.
Members, any other questions? Senator Xiong.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and Senator Hoffman. You've had a couple of bills go through State Gov, memorializing Speaker Hortman, and what Senator McQuaid had said in our State Gov committee when I was chairing was that we're glad that you're here. You're still here with us to carry this legislation to remember her. And what's the term you and I always say, just shut up and vote, right? And so I didn't want to say anything on the floor, but I wanted to take this moment to remember you and her, and Senator Fateh's after you, so we have time. But, I really appreciate what you're doing here. And, when I came into the legislature, Senator Hortman was going to be our speaker. I remember when we were going in to vote for the next speaker, she already had the votes, she had it down, but she took a moment to recognize the 5 newly elected Hmong members and pay tribute to our community. And she didn't have to do that. She already had the votes, but she cared that much about our community, about you, about the people that live in your area. And so I'm really happy to see that you're here, laughing and joking with us. What happened over the interim is something that should never, ever happen to anybody. And so I'm glad that you're here and to offer this. And that's my piece to remember Speaker Hortman. And I won't be here, so you won't get any long-winded speech from me anymore. Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Xiong.
Madam Chair, watch out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Members, Senator Pa.
Thank you, Chair Housley. I too just want to thank Senator Hoffman for bringing forward this bill. I get to share the district with Senator Hoffman, with Representative Melissa Hortman, among other legislators. But I know that from our Brooklyn Park residents, one thing that they said was that how sad it would be for them to come to the Capitol and not see Melissa Hortman here anymore when they come to visit us. And now they will. We'll have a statue here that will always remind people that she is here with us. I want to thank you, Senator Hoffman, for bringing this forward, but I also want to echo what Senator Xiong said, which is we're very glad that you are still here with us. Always have a place in our hearts, and we're so grateful for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments, members? All right, all those in favor of the A1 amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The amendment passes. Back to you, Senator Pappas.
Did you have any other comments?
Thank you for your words,
thanks.
and thank you for doing this. And I think Susan and Xiong summed it up pretty much.
They did. I'm sure we all share their feelings, and glad to see you here as usual.
It's good to be here, Sandy.
And
Madam Chair.
Senator Pa would like to move it?
Yes, please.
Senator Pa moves that Senate File 4662 is amended to be recommended to pass and sent to the Committee on Finance. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion prevails.
Thank you, members.
Thank you.
Thanks, Woody.
The next bill on our agenda is Senate File 4890, Senator Fateh. Welcome to the committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll try to be brief as well. This is a pretty straightforward bill. CornerHouse is seeking an extension on the encumbrance deadline of their state capital project funding from December 31st, 2027 till 2029. The reason for this request is that they are working with a neighboring community provider to explore the opportunity of a joint building project, and this provider is a large entity with more moving parts. CornerHouse has completed a capital project feasibility study and plans to begin the fundraising later this year to build the resources to leverage with the state funding, so they may be able to draw down on the state funding sooner. And this would allow them more time to get their capital requirements in place and would allow them to move forward on building a project together. And so to be clear, this isn't any new money, it's just an extension of the deadline.
Right. Senator Fateh, could you tell us a little bit about CornerHouse?
Yes, so they're in the district and they are an entity that provides services for children specifically that were abused. They provide trauma-informed therapy, they provide child-friendly forensic interviews, for example, and things like that. And so they do really great work that's meaningful.
Great. Any questions from members of the committee? Okay, then this bill will be laid over for inclusion. Thank you. Thank you so much. The next bill is, we actually don't have they didn't introduce the bill. We have a council document, SC 4239, Senator Klein. Yeah, I think we did. Actually, I don't know. Yeah, 23. Welcome to the committee.
Thank you for hearing the council document, Chair and members. This is a bill that just dropped today, but you have the language in front of you. Dakota County greatly appreciates the appropriation from your committee in 2023 that allowed them to complete schematic design for a Thompson County Park upgrade. And they have $1 million remaining of the initial $2 million grant still available after the design is done. And they're requesting now that these dollars may be used for final design and construction of one or more aspects of the project that could really improve that beautiful park in my district, very close to your district, Chair. And I do have a testifier.
All right, could you introduce yourself for the committee and proceed?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair and members, for the opportunity to be here. My name is Nikki Geisler, and I'm proud to be I'm proud to serve as the Parks Director for Dakota County. And I'm here on behalf of Thompson County Park, a wonderful community, and a request that I believe reflects exactly the kind of thoughtful, efficient use of state resources this committee values. Thompson County Park is a beloved 58-acre urban nature area nestled in West St. Paul, one of the most diverse communities in Dakota County. It sits adjacent to Highway 52 and connects South St. Paul's Kaposia Park and Kaposia Landing through the River to River Greenway, making it a vital link in our Metro Parks network. The park draws more than 300,000 visitors every year, families, children, seniors, and individuals of all abilities who come to explore its hilly savanna, shady woodlands, and scenic trails, including a beautiful loop around Thompson Lake. As Senator Klein stated, in 2023, this legislature made a generous $2 million investment in Thompson County Park. And I want to thank you all for that, because it made a real difference. Dakota County used these funds to complete comprehensive schematic design for a suite of master plan improvements, including a pollinator promenade and sensory garden, restoration of a historical stream corridor, ADA accessible trails, an inclusive nature play experience, a picnic area, park entry and greenway wayfinding improvements, a small amphitheater and gathering space, Dakota Lodge renovations, a land bridge, and a sound wall along Highway 52. And I'm pleased to report that this investment is already bearing fruit. The Pollinator Promenade Stream Restoration and Sensory Garden project is currently under construction, made possible in large part because the legislature's 2023 funding enabled us to complete the design work that made our Environment and Natural Resources Trust Fund grant application competitive. That's your investment at work, multiplying impact. After completing the schematic design for all of these projects, we do have approximately $1 million remaining from the original appropriation. The challenge is that under the current terms, those funds can only be used for design, not construction. With schematic design now complete, the remaining park improvements are on hold, waiting for additional external funding that could further delay the ability to meet our community's needs. For obvious reasons, we prefer not to go further into final design on any of these specific projects without knowing dollars are available to then construct. The amendment we are requesting is straightforward. It would simply allow the $1.2 million balance to be used for both final design and construction of one or more of the remaining projects. We're not asking for new money. We are asking for the flexibility to put the dollars you already invested to their highest and best use. With this flexibility, Dakota County could fully complete one of the following projects: an ADA aggregate path through the woods featuring immersive nature play stations specifically designed to serve individuals on the autism spectrum and their families. We could also create the Emerson Pond picnic area, Simon's Ravine Overlook and trail upgrades, Dakota Lodge renovations, or the park entry and greenway wayfinding improvements. Every one of these projects expands access for people with disabilities, for children, for older adults, and for the hundreds of thousands of visitors who count on this park every year. This is accessible recreation in one of the most diverse and vibrant communities in the county. Thompson County Park is ready. Schematic design is done. The community is eager, and the funding is in place to fully realize one of these projects. We simply need the authority to use it for what it was always intended to accomplish: a more accessible and more welcoming park for all. I'm deeply grateful to this committee for your time, your investment in Dakota County, and your ongoing commitment to parks and public spaces that enrich the lives of all Minnesotans. We are ready to move a project forward the moment the amendment is approved, and I look forward to reporting back to you on what we've been able to accomplish together. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from members of the committee? Then I have one. So, Ms. Geisler, just as a reminder that the state dollars are the last dollars in. So before you could access this, the rest of the $1 million or the $1.2 million, you would have to have all the money in place for everything else in your Thompson County Park Master Plan. So I just want to suggest that maybe you talk with our staff, Ms. James, and maybe you want to be a little more specific, Senator Klein, as to what that money would be used for. Otherwise, it's sitting there until you can come up with the rest of the money to complete your master plan.
Madam Chair, thank you.
Yeah.
We do have the 11 projects that went through schematic design, have cost estimates. So the list that I did share would all be able to be accomplished with the remaining dollars individually. And we would go to our county board then with the ability to construct and have them help decide which one.
Ms. James, if they're just going to pick one of the master plan projects, maybe you want to comment on that too.
Madam Chair and members, yes, I think you want the description to be drawn to what's actually going to be finished with this money. So by referencing the whole plan improvements, you'd have to fully fund all of those before this money will be released.
Right.
Madam
Right,
Chair.
that was my concern. Right, so further conversations. Yeah, before the end of session. All right, any questions? All right, thank you very much. Senator Xiong. Senator Xiong, Senate File 373.
Madam Chair, Chair Pappas, Lead Housley, and members of the Capital Investment Committee, thank you for hearing Senate File 373, a bill that provides funding for our Minnesota State Trail System. As you know, our Minnesota State Trails are some of the most popular and most visited places in the state. The care of these state infrastructure assets falls to us as legislators to provide the necessary funding to the DNR to take care of our trails. Our state trails are found across our state. Minnesotans travel all over the state to use the state trails, and they exist in the metro as well. A portion of it, it goes through my district in North St. Paul and ending in Stillwater. I have a couple of testifiers here that could speak a bit more about the project.
Who's going to go first? All right, you want to proceed and introduce yourself for the committee and the tape.
Yeah, Chair Pappas, members of the committee, thank you for being here today. My name is Andrew Oftedal. I'm with the Parks and Trails Council of Minnesota. We are a nonprofit that acquires, protects, and enhances critical land for the public's use and benefit. If possible, I do have a short presentation I'd like to share this morning. Is that up or?
There we go.
Okay, thank you. So first, I just want to offer my thanks to Senator Xiong, Senator Pratt, Senator Coleman for authoring this important bill that funds state trail rehab. I just want to quickly summarize some research that we've done that shows how many of Minnesota state trails are falling into disrepair and why the funding this bill provides is so important. It would make a difference. Our research relies on what we call a research bike to collect both visual and quantitative objective data. We've used this bike to collect data on the state trail system twice now, first in 2018 and then again in 2023. This bike has 2 cameras. Overall, we've taken 143,000 photographs of the state trail system. We've used these photos to create virtual tours of each trail. For example, this is the Central Lakes Trail near Fergus Falls. With these tours, you can look around, move up and down the trail, however you'd like. All these tours are available for free online. They've been viewed for over 10 million times, so they've been very popular. Additionally, then, we use a sensor on this bike to record all the vibrations that people feel as they ride down the trail. To think about how this works, you can imagine you're biking, and on smooth, new pavement, the data shows this really flat line. But kind of like a seismograph, as you ride over bumps and cracks, this produces bumps in the data. And all this data can then be summed and aggregated to rate how smooth or rough every trail is to ride. So what our work has found is that overall the state trail system is kind of in okay condition right now. Overall, we gave the system a B- for a grade in terms of riding condition. But the data also clearly shows a system in decline. So for example, the number of miles in rough condition have doubled in recent years. And when we look long-term, the trend we see is really quite alarming. So you can see here that if current funding levels continue, we project that only 41% of the system is expected to be in smooth riding condition by 2030. So this bill would simply help DNR reverse this trend, fix trails in poor condition, and keep our trails safe. Finally, then, I kind of just want to end on something of a more hopeful note. You can see listed here the 5 trails that we found to be in the worst condition back in 2023 when we last collected data. Since then, and thanks in part to funding that this committee passed that same year, I'm happy to report that 3 of these trails have been partially or completely rehabbed since then. So I just want to thank you for your past work on this issue and the past funding. And just say that it's very important and it does really make a difference on the ground.
Mr. Oftedal, which 3 trails then were redone?
So the Casey Jones State Trail, which was the worst, about half of that has been finished. And then the Minnesota Valley Trail, which is number 3rd on the list, that is almost completely rehabbed. And then the 5th on the list has been completely done since 2023. So on this list here, the Casey Jones, the Munger, and the Gateway are kind of the remaining trails that our data show to be in the worst shape. So again, yeah, Chair Pappas, members, just thank you again for your time. I think this is a very important bill. I'm happy to stand for any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Otterdale? Senator Housley.
Thank you, Mr. Aftal. What, do you know the timeline on these other trails, and do you have the funding, or you need this funding for those trails?
Mr. Otterdale.
Yeah, Chair Pappas, members, I can't speak super directly to that. This funding would certainly make the timeline much shorter. Other funding sources do exist. There has been some LCCMR funding in the past, not for these trails specifically. Legacy is always a possibility, but not a total solution. So bonding traditionally was the main mechanism we used to do this rehab. And so this bill would just kind of restart bonding as a regular investment for these trails.
Right.
Madam
Senator
Chair,
Housley.
just one last question, Mr. Aftal. When did you say the last money that you got to repair the other 3 trails? Was it in
Mr.
23?
Otterdale.
So, Chair Pappas, members, in 2023, there was a $1.2 million bonding appropriation, and there was $2 million in one-time general funds that year as well. So that's kind of the, yeah.
Thank you.
It seems like we'd like to build new trails, but then we don't do a good job of taking care of our existing trails. So next we have, is this Jim Miller?
Jim Miller.
Miller.
Madam Chair and committee members, thanks for letting me testify here. My name is Jim Miller, and I'm the Vice President of the Gateway Browns Creek Trail Association. Our association's an all-volunteer organization that's been helping to advocate for, maintain, and improve the Gateway Trail even before its inception in 1993. The Gateway Trail is a multi-use trail that runs 18 miles from just north of here to Pine Point Park in Stillwater Township. In 2024, the trail had 314,000 visits, and that accounted for over 2.2 million miles traveled, making it the most densely populated of all the trails in the state. Unfortunately, the trail is now 33 years old, and despite periodic hole filling, crack sealing, and replacement of eroded section, it is posing a more serious risk to users. Of particular concern is the 6.9-mile stretch from St. Paul to Oakdale. In the past, this portion of the trail has seen significant use by not only those seeking recreation, but also by commuters and those running errands locally. The poor condition of this part of the trail has led to decreased use, unfortunately. This bill is so important because it provides funding to fix the Gateway Trail and the others mentioned earlier. The Gateway Trail is important infrastructure and needs to be treated as such. Case in point, while a rough road may cause some damage to a car's undercarriage, a rough trail increases the risk of bike accidents and personal injury. We need your help. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Any questions from members of the committee? Then I have to confess that I have biked the Gateway Trail many times, but not in recent years, so I haven't seen how dilapidated it's gotten. Yes, Senator Hemmingson-Yeager.
Sorry, I didn't get my hand up quite fast enough. I just kind of wanted to point out an observation. So I live my district is just south of the Gateway, but I know a lot of people in Woodbury and South Maplewood use it. My husband used it when he lived in St. Paul to get to work to downtown, and it's on here twice. So definitely could use a little love, especially for commuting and as the East Metro continues to grow. So thank you for bringing it to my attention.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Any other testimony? Then thank you very much, Senator. Yes, oh, we do have someone else. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm going to testify.
Another testifier. Oh, Mr. Achter, sorry.
Yes.
Go ahead and proceed. Introduce yourself.
Madam Chair and members of the committee, my name is Dave Achter, and I'm the recently retired mayor of the city of Finlayson. The Munger Bike Trail from Duluth to Hinckley passes directly through our city. Willard Munger envisioned connecting communities, families, and friends with the natural beauty of Minnesota. But today I'd like to speak to you about public safety. The 40-year-old trail is crumbling in places, and the section between Finlayson and Hinckley is rated among the worst in the state. It is so bad that people are choosing to bike on roadways, and accidents with vehicles are on the rise. Our school superintendent was struck by a distracted driver and nearly lost her life.
Oh, wow.
2 bikers were killed by vehicles, including a woman from my church I helped lay to rest last fall. These are not statistics, they are our neighbors. This bill is so important because investing in this trail and trails like it will provide safe corridors to prevent future tragedies. No one should have to risk their life to take a bike ride. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Achter, and I may be the only one in the room that actually knew Representative Munger, served with him in the House. You knew him. Great. Yeah. And it's what an honor to have a trail named after him, and what a shame that it's in very rough shape.
Yeah.
He would not be happy.
No, he wouldn't.
Yeah. All right, Senator Ann Johnson Stewart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have a quick question, and I'm sorry I came in late, so I may be a little bit behind. How does the DNR manage to prioritize and keep track of the condition of the paved trails? Do you have a pavement management system or a trail management system?
We have a testifier,
I
Madam
think
Chair.
someone is coming up from maybe the DNR. Thank you, Mr. Milor. Go ahead and introduce yourself, and then you can address the question.
Sure, yeah, Madam Chair and members, my name is Andrew Korsberg. I work with the DNR Parks and Trails Division. Yeah, you know, we have a resource and asset management process for our projects, and so we usually address the highest need first. And so we're aware of that, you know, we're aware of the state of the trail report that's been used, and so we use that as well to help develop our processes. I don't have the exact priority list with me here today, but we can provide more information if you'd like.
Senator Johnson Stewart.
Actually, I was expecting that. I was hopeful and thinking, well, I was a risk to ask that question, but I assumed that you had some kind of asset management plan or program. The reason I asked is because the next bill talks about asset management, and I just wanted to prime everyone that those types of requirements are often used for pavements, and in fact, they're required for our airport and our roadway pavements in the state. And so when I present the next bill, I'll be hearkening back to that. But that's, I was fully expecting you to say yes, so that was really the information I was looking for, and thank you.
Thanks. And
Yes, Mr. Colbert.
yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. Just one thing I'll just add, you know, the limitation that we've had is the funding, the access to funding to do that. So appreciate, you know, considering this bill and other capital support for state trails. Thank you.
Great. All right, thank you very much, Senator Xiong. The next bill is Senate File 2321. That bill was laid over for consideration. And Senate File 2321, Senator Ann Johnson Stewart. Thank you for taking on this bill.
Madam Chair, it is my supreme pleasure.
Okay, members, technically this bill is in the Rules Committee as a late bill. And the delete all was, the amendment to the underlying bill was adopted in state and local government. So this is, it's not been engrossed, but this is more of an informational hearing then, because we don't technically have the actual bill. Right, Senator Johnson Stewart.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. So as I just alluded to, Senate File 2321 as amended by the A3 from the State and Local Government Committee, it doesn't put another requirement on local agencies that are requesting bonding dollars, but what it does ask is for them to document their plans, if they exist, for maintenance and preservation of any capital project that they're asking for us to invest in. So I'm trying to remember if any of you are on state and local. I don't think so. So I just talked about the fact that this is a really important consideration in my profession, which I will not mention in deference to Senator Jasinski. But in the profession that I love to be a part of, we are talking a lot about capital investment and asset management. It's been a long time kind of accepted practice for roads and trails, as you just heard me talk about. And really what we have to think about is maintenance and preservation plans for our buildings, for every piece of capital that we have. And so I think this is a really important bill, and I was happy to carry it for Senator Pappas.
Are there any questions on this bill? Great, I'm glad that we came up with
It looks like Senator Rasmussen.
Senator Rasmussen.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I appreciate Senator Johnson Stewart working on this topic. I think, one of the shortcomings we have as a committee is being able to have a good sense of whether or not communities have been keeping up with infrastructure investments. I know from my experience traveling with the Capital Investment Committee that sometimes we're rewarding communities that have not been making the investments in their infrastructure, and that those that have taken a longer term plan have resources set aside when these upgrades are needed. And so Madam Chair, I don't know if this is the exact right way to go about it. I do think having this conversation around how can we align incentives for communities to be thinking about the long-term capital needs of their community and reward good behavior and not just kind of see the communities that haven't been making the right decisions for 10 years, 20 years, and then are effectively coming to the state to bail out their problems.
Senator Rasmussen, I know we've run into that a number of times, and I think the problem that I've seen is the current mayor and city council will say, wow, we realized this, now we found this out, or the current city manager, and wow, this is really bad that 20 years ago, 10 years ago, they weren't setting money aside or weren't planning for this within their own bonding authority. And so it's kind of frustrating. So you don't really want to punish the current city that's trying to do the right thing based on what the past city did, but somehow we have to figure out how to get them to be doing it all the way along. And, I mean, if you have a pay-as-you-go philosophy, then you just have to be sure you have that capacity to be able to do it. And if not, you need to be putting money aside. Senator Rasmussen? No, okay. All right, any other comments or questions? All right, thank you very much. We'll just set this bill aside and not do anything with it, I guess. Then you also have Senate File 4362.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So Senate 4362 also has an amendment that I think we do have to move in this committee. That would be the A1.
Okay, it's an author's amendment. Senator Johnson Stewart offers the A1 amendment. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Motion prevails. Senator Johnson Stewart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So Senate File 4362, I will just talk about it in general and then just bring the amendment into the conversation, if that's acceptable.
That's fine.
All right, so what this does, it makes some changes to the existing emerging contaminants grant program that we initiated, I believe, just last year, if I'm not wrong. Okay. It increases it increases from 50 to 80% the as-bid amount of the project that's eligible to be funded by this grant, and it caps the per-project amount eligible at $12 million. We initially created the Emerging Contaminants Law in 2025 with an initial $18 million appropriation. The funds were quickly expended because we have quite a few emerging contaminants, and there is a long waiting list for this program. The A1 was created As I continue to work with the Department of Health, I have several colleagues there who have been really generous with their time and talking to both Senator Pappas and I about this program. This will rename the grant program, taking out the word emerging contaminants, replacing it with drinking water contaminants, so that it more aligns with the federal safe drinking water standards and allows our small community, well, I shouldn't say small, allows our local agencies and bonding recipients to apply when they have other contaminants like radium or arsenic or nitrates or pesticides and herbicides. So we're not limiting the grantees to emerging contaminants, which were in the past magnesium and PFAS, but now including those as well as the other ones that are listed in safe drinking water standards. And then the other thing that the amendment does is it changes the grant awardees' eligibility and takes away this previous requirement that if they did receive a federal grant, they weren't allowed, that counted against the amount that they could receive from the state. Right. And in conversations with several on the committee, we wanted the agencies that were receiving these grants to be able to fully use both federal and state dollars. So you'll see in the amendment that we are now allowing them to receive state grants up to $5,000, regardless of if they received any federal grants.
And I think that that's consistent with what we've done. We have considered federal earmarks to be part of kind of the match that the community provides.
Yeah, I think this is really important as we look to the future, and we know, for example, nitrates are going to become more and more prevalent in our Minnesota drinking water. I think it's important that we continue not only to adjust this grant program, but in my opinion, continue to fund it, because more and more cities are going to be coming to us with these contaminants.
Senator Rasmussen.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Sarah Johnson. And I would agree that emerging contaminants is an important program for communities that have PFAS or other issues. Was there a specific, usually when we have proposals like this to change something, it was driven by a certain community missing out or kind of feedback. Was there any one in mind or an issue that you saw with the program's fund selection last year that you're trying to fix?
Senator Johnson Stewart.
Madam Chair, Senator Rasmussen, no, it's just I feel that this is a really important program, and so in meeting with Department of Health at their request, so they were the drivers, they really saw a need to align this with some of the federal requirements, the federal language, and so communities that were eligible for those funds could also be eligible for ours. But I don't believe there was any specific community, and if you know of one, that would be a surprise to me, but only because I don't know of it.
Senator Rasmussen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And the only reason I ask that is, it's my understanding that the bill before the committee would, open up emerging contaminants in terms of more communities being eligible, and it would also increase the amount of funding that they could potentially be eligible for. And it's my understanding that the money that we had in last year's bill for emerging contaminants has already all been spoken for, has already all been claimed. And I don't know if that's true or not.
Is that true?
We have someone here from
the health
MDH who
department.
can maybe
Yeah,
answer that.
actually, we do have a
good question. Yeah, in terms of, has the money been claimed? Is there money sitting there? And just understand the status of those projects. Thank you.
Welcome to the committee. Please just introduce yourself.
Yes, Madam Chair, Representative, my name is Chad Colstead. I'm the Acting Executive Director at the Public Facilities Authority. And I worked with Senator Ann Johnson Stewart on the amendment language to this bill. It's just to clarify, so there's emerging contaminants, which and Senator talked about, is PFAS and manganese. This is not expanding the list of emerging contaminants. This is just ensuring that as we have systems, as their infrastructure ages, that currently treat for Safe Drinking Water Act regulations, so existing regulations, that as those systems start to fail, that they're able to still provide safe drinking water to the residents. And that's typically like our arsenic systems or radium compliance systems that are kind of reaching the end of their useful life, and they're going to need to do some updating. And there's some that as they drill new wells, or like the senator said, nitrates become a bigger issue. It would help them just ensure that they're in compliance with existing federal regulations, which are almost, in my mind, trump emerging contaminant regulations, because they've been there. They're tried and true. They're much more tested. So,
can you talk about how quickly the funds were expended?
Sure.
Mr. Kolstad.
Yes. Yeah, so we have lots of projects lined up. We have a lot of federal funding along with the state funding. We've encumbered a lot of the federal funds. We're just starting to first encumber the state funds that were allocated last year, but they will definitely be used up.
Senator Rasmussen.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and a follow-up question for the acting director. For that ongoing replacement, I have a community that I represent where they have a arsenic issue, and because of that issue, they score very well, if not like the top 1 or 2 projects on the WIF list. And so aren't there other funding streams and programs for that, other types of issues and replacement? And the reason I ask that and look forward to the acting director's response is when I thought of what emerging contaminants was for, it was for these emerging issues. Like in one of the communities I represent, Battle Lake, just discovered in a very, just a few years ago that they have a PFAS issue. And that wasn't something that was on their radar, it wasn't on the state's radar, and we see this emerging contaminant, and now they're looking for help to address it. Or we look at some of the East Metro that's had PFAS issues. So just, could you help me understand, why those projects couldn't be covered with WIF or other projects we already have?
Mr. Kolstad.
Yeah, Madam Chair, Representative, or Senator, sorry. A lot of those projects for the smaller systems, you're right. There is a funding source where they can get affordability grants for WIF if they sit high enough on the project priority list, which often they do for arsenic, radium, those kind of issues. We do have a lot of smaller communities as they come into the program that may or may not be eligible for WIF dollars. It's kind of dependent upon the situation. But what this bill will actually help with is kind of some of those more medium-sized systems where they might not trigger an affordability grant, but we want them to maintain their infrastructure to ensure that they're able to provide that safe drinking water to their residents. And I think that almost is more important with this bill is, yes, we can help the smaller systems, but sometimes these medium systems fall through the cracks. So this will help help those systems as well, because it won't be based on affordability. It'll just be a grant to assist with meeting a Safe Drinking Water Act requirement.
Okay, more?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Senator Rasmussen.
I'll just say a comment to wrap up at least my questions here is, again, it would be one thing if we had a bunch of extra funding and we're trying to figure out what to do with it and what's the kind of next priority for us as a committee. But given the fact that the money we appropriated last year is going to get spent, that there's projects on the WIF list that are going to get spent, I guess I just have concerns around opening up eligibility, opening up how much money they can receive when we already have scarcity given the current funds. But I think these are the types of conversations we should be having, because we have to be thoughtful around how the needs of Minnesota is changing and how we can make sure that these programs are best prioritizing the scarce resources we have. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Senator Ann Johnson Stewart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to offer up that PFAS and manganese are still included, so no community that has those specific contaminants will be precluded and will obviously sit high on the list of eligible communities. Anyway, that's it.
So on a side note, Mr. Kolstad, you're still acting director, and are you going to become the director, or are you going back to the health department?
Madam Chair, the job will be posted. I will be applying. We'll see what happens.
Okay, great, thank you.
Madam Chair, can I go on the record? I have known Mr. Kolstad for a long time, which is why he accidentally calls me Ann once in a while, and I highly recommend him.
Yeah, great. Thank you. All right, we'll set that bill aside for possible inclusion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Am I done?
Thank you very much, Senator Ann Johnson Stewart. Is Senator Drazkowski in the room? There he is. welcome to the committee, Senator Drazkowski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I have with me today Mr. Engerman and Ms. Howard, who are involved with the North Zumbro Sanitary Sewer District. I've been working with this project for 6 years now, and they may have been actually meeting longer than that, but it's 5 communities in our district and also Senator Jasinski's district, which includes the cities of Wanamingo, Pine Island, Zumbrota, Goodhue, and the Prairie Island Indian Community. So as we have been going through and anticipating potentially a bonding bill here, and certainly we've been doing everything we can to properly pester the chairs around this without being overly pestering, but it's a great need in our area. It's a novel idea. What it does is creates a shared community wastewater system, which Zumbrota will be the hub, and the other 4 communities around it as spokes of the wheel, if you will. As we have been working through this, we've been thinking, and one of the things, as I was looking at, and we were having discussions with a group about the PSEG money, the PFA money, I couldn't really see where and how they fit into this, because you had 4 different communities. Of course, Prairie Island Indian Community doesn't have a system yet. They'd be brand new. They're going to be building there soon. But, you know, one is ranked here on the PFA list, one is ranked here, one is ranked here, and one is ranked here. So what does that mean for a project that involves all 4 of them? And so this was an idea that we put together as a group, and we're bringing to you that not only answers that question, brings some certainty to a group of cities that are anticipating this type of thing, but also creates some incentive. And we're trying to figure out how can we create incentive without being too, I guess, too radical with the existing system that is in place. And this is what we came up with, one that will simply, for lack of a better word, accordion them, if you will, and take the bottom ones and bring them up to the position of the top ones, so the group remains in the top position as a group. And that's what the proposal is before you.
Thank you, Senator Drazkowski. I think this is a very sensible approach, not radical at all.
No.
So
No, but the other
I want to
thoughts
assure you of that.
The other thoughts, Madam Chair, I had were more radical.
Okay, good. Let's just go to your testifiers. Mr. Engerman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If I could, I'll defer to City Administrator Howard first.
Okay, Ms. Howard.
Madam Chair, Senators, my name is Elizabeth Howard. I am the City Administrator for the City of Pine Island, and I also serve as the Chair of the Executive Committee for the North Zumbro Sanitary Sewer District, which is an initiative between the cities of Goodhue, Pine Island, Wanamingo, Zumbrota, and also includes the Prairie Island Indian Community. Our communities have been working towards consolidating our wastewater treatment facilities into one large-scale facility. We are in the final stages of design work and have secured the land for our joint facility and are hoping to set a standard for collaboration between cities of Minnesota for infrastructure needs. However, as our project progresses, we continue to hit roadblocks due to our collaboration. Our communities are eligible for point source implementation grants, commonly known as PSEG, through MPCA. As our permits are in the final stages of approval from MPCA, we are getting so close to securing the final funding needed to kick off this project. But our fear is that once our project is ready to go, funding will not be available from PSEG at the same time. If other cities with a ranking between any of our cities are approved for funding, it could hold up the entire project. We are asking that you support collaboration between Minnesota communities. Senate File 4839 will allow governmental units who are collaborating on joint projects and would rank and place the total project at the position of the highest ranking governmental unit. This would allow all partners within the project to receive funding at the same time. I thank you for your time and strongly encourage you to support Senate File 4839. To not only benefit our project, but this will benefit all communities of Minnesota who are working together to provide cost-saving collaborative projects to our residents.
Thank you. Next, then now Mr. Engerman, did you want to add some things?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chair Pappas. My name is Bill Angerman. I'm the city engineer for the city of Zumbrota. I just got to look at Senator Johnson Stewart, civil engineer, so. Just to add from Administrator Howard, our project, we are completing our final design. That is really an ode to the legislature and our $10 million that was funded previously, both for our land acquisition final design. We're wrapping that up. We're also wrapping our permitting. We will be shovel ready this summer with our project. So we're really excited. And as Senator Drazkowski said, we're trying to turn over everything we can to find funding, and this was an idea that we had, a non-radical idea from the senator. So we're just really excited to hopefully get this project moving, and again, just wanted to reiterate that we will be shovel ready, and then obviously we'd like to answer any questions from anybody.
Any questions? Senator Nelson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Not a question, just a commendation. This is a great example of collaboration, the way government should be looking at being efficient, effective. And it was just a little bit of a stake to my heart when I heard you say that you were, in a sense, your collaboration was running into roadblocks. And that's just the opposite of what we should be doing. We want to encourage this type of collaboration. I've visited with these communities before regarding this. They've been working on this for a number of years. And I think this, Senator Drazkowski, is a very thoughtful way to reward good behavior or incent, excuse my behavior modification language, but a good way to incent the things that we know are helpful. So I hope this can find a place, Madam Chair, in our bonding bill. It's such a good idea.
Thank you. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just going to echo this. Thank you, Senator Drazkowski. We've been working on this for a while, and you took the lead on it, so I thank you for that. These communities have worked hard and long to get this thing going. And again, to the ranking systems, if you have the one that's ranked very high and you want to consolidate, and they can't make any more improvements because why make improvements when you're looking at a project down the road? So to put these up to the top as the one with the most highest priority makes a lot of sense because then you're not holding that project back. So we also, so I had another community I was involved with, Medford and Otana. Based on the work that you guys had done, I recommended this a few years back, and I'm happy to say about 30 days ago, Medford is now sending their wastewater to Otana, and they've actually demolished their old plant in Medford. So much more efficient. It's a classic example of what you guys brought up. It was just a smaller scale project that we were able to get funded. It was $4.5 million a few years ago. And again, it's a great project, and this will only help those projects to go, and we should be incentivizing people to collaborate together and work together. So thanks, Senator Drazkowski, and thanks for all your guys' work as well.
Senator Ann Johnson Stewart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The previous testifier with me, Chad Kolstad, and I have also been working on regionalization barriers, because this is something that isn't quite as easy as it looks. There's some rules and regulations around how local communities can regionalize both their water and their wastewater treatment. And so it is a common sense thing, but it's often not so easy to do. So that's something that we'll be probably looking at introducing next session, just to take away those barriers, but I fully support this as well.
Senator Pratt, then I'll go back to Jasinski.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair, and I just want to echo what my colleagues have said. I remember stopping out on the bonding tour and seeing the project, and I had the aha moment that, we need communities working together more often, particularly in greater Minnesota, and I think this is a great way to get that done. So thank you guys for working on it, because we got back on the bus, and a couple of us were actually talking about how do we get more communities working together, not fewer. So I think this is the right way to go, and support the effort. Thank you.
Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And again, I've been talking with someone, and I think some federal money came through, so the project was much more expensive. And can you just give an update on the reduced amount that we're asking for now? Because I think there has been some movement on the federal side or some other funding sources. It was a big project. I think at one time was $80-some million. What's the updated ask now? Has it changed, I think, in the last couple months? And can you just comment on that?
And is that Ms. Howard?
Yes, Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, our updated request is just over 26 million. I believe it's 26.4 million for our bonding bill request. We did receive congressionally directed spending. That would be in addition to PSIG being funded and having those dollars available to the cities as well once we are available for funding through PSIG. But if we were able to get the dollar amount, we would not be back before you.
And how much did we give you in the past?
We received $10 million in the past. That was for pre-design work and land acquisition, which pre-design is starting to wrap up, and we have acquired the property for the new treatment plant.
Just want to call on Mr. Kolstad. Did you have any comment you wanted to make on this idea, this proposal for prioritizing regional projects? Or somebody from the PCA? Several people.
Yeah, Madam Chair, Senators, yeah, we have kind of went through this with PC a little bit to kind of look through it. You know, we're always for regionalization. I think the challenge is this bill kind of looks at changing the point criteria for the drinking or the clean water project priority list, not going through the typical rulemaking process, but by just making a statute that does so. I think there's ways maybe we can work around that, but I think that's probably one of our bigger concerns. In our IAUP, or intended use plan process, we do have like bypass language that for the SRF projects, which these are all ranked on the PPL, all the components of this, this regionalization, those that allows us to elevate those projects into the funding range if we have a project that one of the higher ranked projects is already in the funding range. So we have steps on the SRF side to do so, to elevate that into the funding range. PSIG's a little bit different. The biggest thing with PSIG is, I mean, we can get to those projects once they're certified, we just need more money. That's really what it comes down to. So whether we need this bill or not, it's kind of questionable. It's just that we need more PSIG money to get down the list to those projects.
Okay. And did you want to comment as well? Introduce yourself.
Hi there, thank you. My name is Suzanne Bauman with the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. Work with our wonderful partners at the Public Facilities Authority on clean water, infrastructure funding, and support everything that Mr. Kolstad said. We do have a mechanism to do this and recognize having 3 out of 4 of the communities apply for a project and receive the grant doesn't work. The financing of the project relies on full financing by all municipalities. So we have mechanisms to do that, and yeah, the barriers really are how much money is available, unknown things about how many other projects are going to be on the list and requesting funding this year.
Senator Ann Johnson Stewart.
Thank you. This could go to either one of you. So does this Senate file and this provision, would this be problematic if all of the communities that were coming together to be served by the regional system, whether it's drinking or wastewater, we can talk in generalities, would this be problematic? Or is it something that would work to expanding regionalization opportunities?
Mr. Kolstad.
Yeah, Madam Chair, Senator, there's aspects of the bill that are problematic. I think that automatically scoring those projects higher is a concern. I think there's ways with the PSIG list where we could actually look at PSIG language specific that would allow them to be elevated without having to have their point classification change potentially, which would bring them into the funding range. But if their project's certified, and I shouldn't say bring them into the funding range, potentially elevate them into the higher on the list. But the biggest thing is that we just need additional funding for PSIG, because once those projects are ready to proceed, it's just a matter of waiting. I mean, there's always going to be projects that are in that queue kind of moving down the list. So as long as we have enough funding to get to those projects, we can do so.
Senator Nelson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I was understanding your concerns right away, but the fact of the matter is there's never going to be enough money. And so in the meantime, I'm hopeful maybe you could come up with an alternative. I like the bill that was before us because it does incent and encourage that collaborative nature and those collaborations on projects. But if you think it's problematic, I'm hoping that you can then present us with something that will still be incenting, not penalizing communities that work together, but might still address maybe your concerns. But quite frankly, to just say there's not enough money, that just isn't enough for me to say, oh, well, we can't do this then, because there just isn't enough money, ever. Thank you.
True. Yeah.
Any response, any comments?
Yeah.
Mr. Colstead.
Yeah, Madam Chair, Senator, yeah, we'd be happy to work with the bill author to adjust the language to kind of make it work that will not impact the PPL list itself, but we can work through maybe the regulations on the side of the PSIG to kind of see how what we can do over there. So definitely we'll work with you.
And we will definitely work to put more money in.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. Then we'll just set this aside for possible work and inclusion. And welcome, Leader Johnson.
Madam Chair, can I mention one thing?
Oh, absolutely, I'm sorry, I should have given you a final comment. You weren't sitting at the table, so I apologize, I forgot.
Thank you. Just three things. One question was the amount of the federal money that they've received is $1 million. The other thing was, I don't believe the proposal actually changes the scoring. I think the scoring would still be done the same way. There's nothing that anyone can see in the language that adjusts the scoring. It would just move them for eligibility for funding up to the top position. And the other thing to think about here, back to Senator Nelson's point about creating incentive, as these communities have been working together and trying to amass the energy and the synergy to get this done, they need certainty of what this PSIG process, as they look at it, it wasn't until recently that they understood the mechanics of the PSIG process or the ranking or anything, and we've been working on this for 6 years. And I haven't had my head in the PSIG game at all, really, until now, and neither have any of these communities. So if we can have something like this happen, the cool thing about it is it gives them certainty to know that if they do work together, here's where they are on the list, they're going to end up here. That's the certainty that will give them the ability to exercise what is then a built-in incentive.
Ms. Howard, are you also eligible for loans from the PFA?
Yes, we are, and I might defer to Mr. Angerman on this. He's more familiar with the funding aspect.
Mr. Anger.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, we are.
Okay. I had a question for Mr. Kolstad, but he's so far away. I can't remember my question anyway.
Madam Chair.
Senator Jasinski.
I did see him nodding his head when Senator Drazkowski was talking, that he did agree with what he was saying.
Oh, I know what the question was. Do you get any federal money for PSIG? No, he's shaking his head no. Okay, thanks. What programs do get federal money? Because I know we put match in for federal money.
Yeah, Madam
Mr.
Chair.
Costa.
Yeah, Madam Chair. So currently, with the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, we get kind of base or kind of what we call supplemental funding, which is for kind of our basic infrastructure projects. In addition to that, there is federal funding for emerging contaminants and for lead service line replacement.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, so Senator Drazkowski, anything else?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good discussion. Thank you, Committee.
All right, thank you so much. We'll set that aside for possible inclusion. And then now we have our final bill, Senator Johnson. And Senator Johnson, this is not your first committee. You were in health?
That is correct, Madam Chair.
Oh, technically, this bill is also stuck in the Senate Rules Committee as a late bill, and so we'll discuss the amendment and the underlying bill only, but we can't take official action.
Very good.
So welcome to the committee, regardless.
All right, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that, Madam Chair. And members, so Jack has teed us up very well in building up to this bill, so thank you. As we're talking about regionalization, I appreciate being at the end of the pipeline here, because we have before you a bill that deals with regionalization, not necessarily of the actual building of a physical facility, but helping communities get to that point where they can afford the engineering, the legal, and the administrative costs to make sure that they can plan and prepare for that. We want to make sure that our rural communities and all our communities across the state have the opportunity to have safe and consistent drinking water. And we see that. I know many of you were up in my neck of the woods when we looked at the West Central project up there, where we're connecting many small towns with safe drinking water through the West Central program. So that's a system where now not the individual cities and towns and communities across the district have to do their own engineering. They have to hire somebody, they have to get the infrastructure and that, but really using one system together in a regionalized system that's much more efficient, lower cost, and dependable for our citizens up there. However, in doing that, this has been a 4 or 5 year process. We have found over and over again the bureaucratic and administrative costs have been very difficult for small communities to handle. And so they have been putting in a lot of money on that, but what they've really come up with through this is some ways that we can help. Next year, we're going to be coming forward with a bill. I think Senator Ann Johnson Stewart talked a little bit about restructuring the system itself to make it more efficient. But this year, we are putting together a proposal to put $1 million into a program to help communities across the state really prepare for those systems so that they can, on the front end, have some matching dollars that would help communities make sure that they can put these processes into place. You'll hear a couple of examples where communities weren't able to do that today. So, Madam Chair, I'll just leave it with that unless you have further question on that, but we can talk a little bit about the bill itself and the purpose for that with the testifiers as well, too.
Any questions right now from the committee? Why don't you just proceed then with your presentation and your testifiers?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Who would like to go first? I'll go first. All right.
Madam Chair and members of the committee, my name is Ezra Baer. I serve as a Clay County Commissioner for District 2, representing the northern half of Clay County. Thank you for the opportunity to testify and support the Senate File 4457 and for the committee's interest in sustainably supporting water infrastructure throughout the state. Many members of this committee were able to join the committee visit up in Halstead, where we took that great picture in front of the world's largest sugar beet, if you remember that, and to learn more about the West Central Regional Water District, a new regional drinking water system currently be formed by Polk, Norman, and Clay counties. I serve as Clay County's appointee to the district board. This is the first rural water district formed under Minnesota Statute 116A since the mid-1980s. If you're familiar with this project, you have heard about the urgent need for it. In Clay County, approximately 39% of the tested private wells exceed the health standard of 10 micrograms per liter of arsenic. At the same time, small communities such as Felton and Georgetown in my area are struggling with operator shortages and growing cost of maintaining aging infrastructure. In many systems, we are one failure away from losing reliable access to safe drinking water. However, through this process, we have learned firsthand why regional water systems have not been formed in Minnesota in decades. The process under Chapter 116A is complex, time-intensive, and costly. There are no dedicated funding programs to support formation phases. By the time we complete the court-administered formation process alone, we anticipate investing over $700,000 before final design, construction, or even the required intergovernmental agreements are completed. The West Central Regional Water District and my county are firmly in support of this bill because it would create a new funding mechanism to defray these costs and alleviate some of the front-end burdens that can prevent some local governments from pursuing regionalization. Establishing a program like this makes sense. We know that interest in this process is growing despite its complexity. In fact, both Wilkin and Coochin counties recently passed unanimously board resolutions to initiate the exploration process of district formation. Moreover, in your material today is a letter of support from the Minnesota Rural Water Association with notes that at least 2 other proposed districts are unable to advance due to complexity and costs of the formation. Also in your material are letters of support from 2 existing water systems, Red Rock Rural Water System and the Lincoln Pipestone Rural Water. If legislature creates programs like the one in this bill and the future looks at modernizing district formation statutes, we believe it would unleash a new range of options for local leaders to address drinking water challenges. We have Stephen Slick here, our water district engineer. He is here today to testify on some of the specific challenges we have encountered. I respectfully ask for your support for Senate File 4457, and thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much, Mr. Baer. And if there are no questions for Mr. Baer, we'll turn to Mr. Slick.
Thank you, Chair Pappas. Members of the committee, appreciate you having us today. My name is Stephen Slick. I am an engineer that specializes in rural and regional water systems. I work for A2S. We help communities overcome challenges through innovation and collaboration similar to what we're seeing in a lot of small cities in Minnesota today, whether it be aging infrastructure, high capital costs, lack of certified operators, and we work to bring those communities together to look at solutions similar to regionalization. In addition, I am the court-appointed engineer for the West Central Regional Water District project. It's a very complicated statute that actually requires the court to appoint the engineer and oversee the process. Based on our experience, the formation of a new multi-county regional water system imposes a series of requirements that are outdated, expensive, and have really been an inhibitor to broad-scale regionalization like this in the past. Some examples of this would be before we can even get to final design stages, there's a couple engineering reports that need to be done. There's a viewer's report that needs to be done. There's 2 court hearings or hearings in district court administered by the district court judge. There's noticing requirements that are extremely burdensome and expensive. For example, the West Central Regional Water District's final court hearing is tomorrow in Clay County District Court. And prior to this hearing, the court had to issue 20,000 notices to every single landowner within the 3-county region, whether you were impacted by the project or not. Whether you lived in a city, whether you were on phase 1, whether you were 40 miles away from the project, you were issued a notice that you can come to Clay County, even though no assessments are being imposed on a project like this. The statute really doesn't comply either with modern project delivery standards. The counties go through all of these processes and hoping that the court will order the project. Communities are putting dollars in where they have very few to put in on a hope and a prayer that the court will order this project, that they will be able to regionalize. And it's just a costly and burdensome process. As Commissioner Baer mentioned, there is a lack of funding programs to help communities overcome this challenge in formation of new regional water districts. Current funding falls just outside the box with communities facing water challenges. And we think, regionalization works best due to economies of scale. It's great when you see 1, 2 communities getting together and looking at a solution, But often where we see it most is when you can get 4, 5, 6, 10 communities all banding together for centralized treatment, storage, using economies of scale, really, to bring costs down for not only the state, the funding agencies, but the end user as well in the long run. So with that being said, the district, and we firmly believe that Senate File 4457 could help the state of Minnesota and its communities in the long run, encourage and incentivize regionalization. With that, I'll relinquish my time, and if there's any questions.
Thank you. So this is really the topic we were talking about before. It sounds like there's some work next year for some of the members to look at what the law is and what the barriers are in being able to regionalize. But I think Senator Johnson's bill, though, is something we could do still this year, which is to provide some assistance to these local communities. Senator Ann Johnson Stewart.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the testifiers. I think this bill is a really, really smart idea. I do want to offer up that I think it is even better if it's allowed in general for any local agent or local community who needs help assessing their water system. Before I go further, I want to announce publicly that I sold my engineering consulting business in 2022, and I have zero interest in this, other than it's really important to note that engineering does cost money, and a lot of communities they don't even know what they don't know. And so I love the idea for regionalization. That is a valiant effort and something we need to do more of. But I also know that there's many small communities that just don't even know where to start. And even an initial consultation with an engineer could cost thousands of dollars. So I fully support this. I would love to see it enacted now, and then maybe next year we expand it. But it's a really smart idea. Thank you.
Any other comments from members of the committee? All right, thank you very much for making the trip down. We appreciate it. Thank you, Senator Johnson. We will lay this over for possible inclusion in the omnibus bonding bill. That's it. Okay, I think we have one. Mr. Fisher, do you want to talk about next week?
Sure, thank you, Madam Chair. Next week, we are planning to do a hearing on appropriation bonds and other various debt instruments that are not general obligation bonds, as well as a couple of modifications. So that's the plan for next week.
And I think next Tuesday should be our last meeting, our last public meeting that we're having, until we actually come back and do a bill. Right. Thank you very much, everyone. Hope you have a good Friday and a good weekend, and the committee is adjourned.